So what is going on with you? It's been an exciting month or two since we've been doing this.
It's definitely, it's holiday season, so I'm actually at 3 events right now, all at the same time. I'm just kidding. No, there's
hey, look, nothing would surprise me about Dave Burlin. So if Dave Burlin says he's at 3 events right now, I believe him.
It's weird because I mean, there's so many, like, after getting through Global Entrepreneurship Week and then shifting gears into the holiday season, I get to be a guest at everything, which is great.
Yeah.
But when I say a guest to everything, it's like everything. Like there's some events you can make it to, some events that you can't, and just trying to juggle that. You never know what's going on in the city, what freeways are going to be completely shut down or down to 1 lane for no reason at all.
Well, that's just Vegas in general,
I know,
right?
But it gets specifically difficult during December because there is so many cool holiday events. But no, just getting ready for, glad to be here for the last Tech Alley of the year, and then shifting gears and really getting excited about 2025.
Excellent. So holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with Vets in Tech?
Yeah, Vets in Tech, had the big gala last month, last year. So as they're getting ready to shift gears into the new year as well, a lot on the planning side to find out what the priorities are going to be for next year. Of course, they're going to keep getting more certifications with people. They're going to be announcing some big new partners that are coming up soon. But for that, I'm really excited to see how Vets in Tech is going to be involved for CES, and then also really understand how to maximize new partnerships and things like that here in Vegas specifically.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the ways Vets in Tech can be involved with CES is with my other podcast. I was able to get media credentials to CES. So
there you go.
My plan had been to go around and talk to people at booths. But we can do a little we can make sure we can go visit Vets in Tech partners and talk to them.
We need to get some swag that reps like all the stuff just to start all the conversations. So like Vets in Tech on one, and then like get all the brands of the people that people need to know here.
We got a couple weeks. Right? I think we could get some hoodies or some sweatshirts or
for sure.
Some bow ties or something made up. So stupid.
Yeah, right. I'm excited. I'm really interested to see what happens for CES this year.
I haven't been in about 5 or 6 years, so I'm excited to go.
Well, now you get the kind of exclusive. You get the VIP.
It's so interesting. I don't know if I'd say it's VIP status, but one of the
flasher media bag.
One of the very cool. I don't even know how that's going to work, but one of the very cool things is, every couple of hours, I get an email from somebody who's an exhibitor or doing something at CES. And they're like, come see us, come see us, come see us, come see us. So I've got this ability to put this list together of who do I want to go see and talk to?
Yeah.
Whether it's for Vets in Tech, whether it's for my podcast, whether it's for this kind of thing for the tech community here in Las Vegas. It's all kind of probably going to be this blur of things where I just go and I take the phone and I take the wireless microphones and we just go and we record and we record and we record and then we just start putting stuff out over the couple of days. So it's still, the plan is still getting formed in my mind, but it's very exciting. And now, like the last time I went to CES, I went because I was doing Rebel Venture Fund stuff. So it was about getting into that startup pavilion there and seeing all the startups for investment purposes. But now I have all this reason to spend time talking all around CES.
Well, and it's cool. It's all the stuff that you plan for is always great, but it's always the miracle stuff.
The collisions,
that just happens.
The collisions that Tony Hsieh would call
that's
them.
always my favorite thing about anytime something big like that comes through town.
Yeah. So CES is going to be exciting. What else is going on? What do you want to talk about?
The big shift for me is a lot of energy into Pursue Vegas. You know, the Pursue Vegas idea came out a couple years ago. It was right after pandemic. I wanted to do something that was going to start to capture a different part of Las Vegas. I think I love what Dave Meltzer says. He said, you're either humble or you're about to be.
Yeah.
And that goes for a community and a city as well. I think really Vegas had relied and focused on so much for so long about tourism, the Strip, conferences, which I get. It's very important, critical part of the ecosystem here. It's not the only thing. And especially when the pandemic happened, it really kind of humbled this community into like shutting it down.
It was a wake-up call. It was a
wake-up call to say we got to be able to do something else too.
It ended up not being as bad as the 2008 wake-up call.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a lot of fear in those first 2 or 3 weeks of what Vegas was going to look like during the pandemic.
Absolutely. So with that, post-pandemic, we started recording just a series of episodes. We did like 5 or 6 episodes to kind of capture the whole part of the community. There was education, entrepreneurship, art, and especially food, but more from the local perspective. As we captured those 6 videos, this is like a lesson learned from when it comes from just being an entrepreneur, right? The main focus for me was the video, the production, and really capturing what was going on in the community. I had no call to action. There was no next step, right? It was really just,
hey, man.
We really focused on telling the story, but there was no next thing to do. So with that, we wanted to make sure that, the problem with that was it was very high production, very high cost, no call to action, so no profit. Well, I wasn't trying to make a profit, but it just made it really hard to keep that thing going.
Yeah.
So as we put that brand on the shelf for a couple of years, it's been 3 years now.
Yeah.
It's got a really strong mission, purpose. The mission is to connect the people of our city, so together we can show the world who we really are. Just as trends have changed and times have changed, it made sense to shift that into a podcast. A couple months ago, we shot a whole pilot series of 12 episodes. We shot in a week. This is the truth, right? The beautiful truth of this is we did it. Somebody gave us a studio in the back of their office. Everything went great, but half the people that came through that first season, they're also like content creators, podcast people of large influence. And they were like, hey, I actually need a studio outside of what I'm using. Can we rent this space? And that place wasn't for rent, which is totally fine. I actually shifted it and I referred everybody over to the video podcast studio in Henderson. And Trevin was really grateful for a lot of the people that came and started business over there. So now he's sponsored the whole second season, which is like 24 episodes. So we've now partnered with them. We're working out all the details of what that looks like, but we've already started shooting season 2. That'll start rolling out after the new year.
Looking forward to it.
A really cool way to bring all of those things together through one brand and sprawl out to community, organizations, nonprofit, for-profit, startup scene, restaurants.
And we're making some good connections to start beyond the Pursue Vegas podcast to start showing what other groups are doing.
Exactly.
Right. And we'll leave it at that, but I think we have something coming up that will be something you'll get to see in the new year that we're doing, and will be something that Pursue Vegas can kind of put together as a flagship for the future. So
absolutely looking forward to it.
So what else is going on?
I mean, that's really the main focus, really just trying to make sure, I'll do it on camera, man. I don't care. I just need a fork. Thank you so much. Sweet potato fries too. Okay, cool. I'm just going to eat live on the air because, I ordered that just because I knew it looked delicious.
Yeah, I'm sure this will make great YouTube shorts
right?
of you putting this in your mouth. So,
I know, right?
So that'll be the most viewed clip on the channel.
Yeah, right. Here live at Taverna Costera.
Here live at live at Taverna Costera. We're here live at Tech Alley. We'll give Dave a chance to take a couple of bites here. So let me do my pitch for what we're doing today. Is we're live at Tech Alley, the premier startup ecosystem entrepreneur tech event here in Las Vegas, rapidly growing. We talked with Josh a little bit earlier about how it's growing to Henderson, it's grown to other cities, but we're having a great time here. It is all centered around Taverna Costera here in downtown Las Vegas, the corner of Charleston and Main. Come on down. They're actually starting to serve lunch for Tech Alley just outside. Lunch is free if you're attending Tech Alley. I'm not sure what they're having today, but it's always great. I can see the line is forming. So I see Josh Stacy, friend of the podcast, in the line right now. So lunch is forming. If you're interested in tech, if you're interested in crypto, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, if you're interested in apps or drones or hardware or software, NFTs, AI, all of it's going on here at Tech Alley in downtown Las Vegas. We're having a great time. Lunch is happening right now. Taverna Costera is one of the primary sponsors here. Always gracious to us, always nice. Lets us do this podcast from somewhere in their location every month. Always helps us with whatever problem we're having. They're great. So come on down. If you don't make it down for the Tech Alley lunch, come on down and have lunch at Taverna Costera anyway. It's always good food. I've always had never had something bad here. So
5 stars on the avocado toast.
There you go. So I don't know what more you need from that. So come on down. We're having a great time down here today. So let's see what else has been going on.
What's your big focus for the new year coming up?
My big focus for the new year, well, this new thing that we're not going to talk about yet, but that's becoming kind of a primary focus for me, which was a little unexpected, but I'm excited about that, and that's going to be doing that. But I have I've got a couple of new course offerings doing. So a corporate training course offering that you were gracious enough to help me put together over the last couple months. That's out there, and I'm going to be promoting that and working with some companies on that. And then the new digital course, it's like the digital version for individuals, but the same course, but online. So that was taking up a lot of my time the last couple of months. That's finally launched and out, and that's going to be a lot of what I'm doing over the holidays is just getting my stuff together to start promoting that stuff and leaning into that in the new year, along with some of the other things, and continuing my other podcast, The Leader's Mindset. I recorded an episode yesterday with a great guest. I recorded an episode Thursday with a great guest. I'm going to be recording with a couple other folks locally live, not live, but in person instead of remotely over the holiday week here. So we're going to have 5 or 6 episodes in the can before New Year's Day even hits us. So and then we're got a lot of folks requesting to be on it. So I'm really excited about the traction that's getting of people who want to be on the podcast and just recording. So.
What's one thing that you didn't expect for 2024?
One thing I didn't expect for 2024 is the number of emails coming into my inbox about we want to be on your podcast. And I'm very grateful, love it. Everyone who said I want to be on has been amazing. The ones that we've had on as guests have been amazing. The ones I've talked to who are going to be guests have been amazing. There's been nobody who hasn't been a good fit for the podcast. So if you're interested in being on The Leader's Mindset, check it out. Let me know. We'd love to have you on. Because we don't have a big audience yet, but we are getting found by people who do have a big audience and want to be on the podcast. And that's been helping us grow our audience. So that's been the biggest surprise, is the reaching out saying we want to be part of what you're doing. That's been really a wonderful surprise and really refreshing, and just makes me feel really good that we're doing something really great for the community and helping people become stronger leaders, better leaders, more effective leaders in their jobs, whether they are working for corporate, whether they are a startup founder, whether they're a small business, whether they're working for a nonprofit, whether it's just helping people with their families. That was the most surprising thing to me, is we got probably about early in the summer, we started getting a lot of these. It's like what's that saying? Slowly then quickly. 1 or 2 of them, I was like, okay, well, these are probably scams.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, all these started coming. I was like, these can't all be scams. So I just started reaching back out to people going, hey, is this something you're really interested in? They're like, yeah, we'd love to do this. So,
yeah.
So, and now I have a bunch I still, like, in the inbox from the last couple of weeks, I still need to get back to and even just schedule time for a call with folks. So that's been the most surprising thing, the most refreshing thing. The thing I'm most grateful for is people are interested in being part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
somebody asked me this question, and it got me to think, and I immediately knew the answer, but I want to ask you the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you could, like, one miracle guest that, like, from the Vegas community, right? If you could have them on your show, not only would it be amazing, but it would really just help you take everything off in the right direction.
There are a couple different answers to that. So I don't know if you know who Jim Murrin is.
I do not.
I think he's the new CEO of Resorts World.
Ooh, cool.
He was the CEO of MGM for a long, long time. Okay. Went into retirement, and then I won't get into what's going on with Resorts World, but they needed a change of leadership.
Yeah.
And so they brought Jim Burlin. I think he'd be great from how do you lead lots of people? How do you deal with a big organization? But, somebody who's local here who I'd love to have they've got it would be a great conversation, but they've also got a big online audience, as someone like Alex Hormozi, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he's grown from him and Layla to this
massive
big
machine.
organization that he's got, this big machine he's got. And it's not, and that's the best way to put it, right? Because it's not necessarily all these people working for him that are on his payroll, but he's got this big machine.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd love to talk to him about, is how do you keep everybody in this big machine moving in the same direction? Who else?
Actually, that's a good point. Alex and Layla.
Yeah.
That would be dope.
That'd be really dope.
Yeah.
So that'd be dope on a number of different podcasts we're associated with.
I'm gonna go ahead and put them on my wish list too.
Yeah, let's so if you're watching Alex and Layla,
or if you know them,
well,
what's interesting too, at least where, and your podcast can reach a lot of different places because yours is about leadership at the core, right? And me personally, like, I also really want to focus on the community aspect, which it's interesting when you talk about Alex and Layla, they chose Vegas, right? They relocated, moved here, and it's just been phenomenal to see what their operation does. It's kind of like a secret hideout because people are like, they've heard of it, they know what it is. I actually attended one of the workshops there. Yeah. It is phenomenal what they're doing, but like, even since we went through their workshop in February, it's changed so much. And,
they're evolving isn't even the right word.
They're redefining
it's
evolution.
Revolution. Yeah. It's revolution every couple of months over there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm actually, and I'm one of the things I want to do, because you heard me and Josh before talking about, you got to do things Vegas style, right? Yeah. In Vegas. I'm bringing on folks who have leadership lessons who are not traditionally folks you would think of being on a leadership or business podcast. Yeah. And so I'll leave it at that, because I think there's going to be some fun surprises coming up. But like someone like Dana White would be great.
Oh yeah, Dana would be cool. Well, yeah, and he's got a real. I'm learning more about his culture too. He's very focused on people taking the time that they need to do life, so they're happy. Because if they're happy, they're going to do a better job. It's like, if you need to take it off, like, just make sure your work gets done. Like, however you got to work around that, figure it out. And I think that's so different from cultures in the past. I think we're really getting away from the rigidness of how companies run. And it's even funny because people think just because we're in the military, there is a lot of structure to it, but there's also a lot of room for creativity as well.
Did you find, when you were in the military, and you were on a ship for a good chunk of that? So
yeah, I lived on a ship for a year.
Yeah, so maybe you didn't experience this the way I did in the Air Force, but I feel like in the military we had a lot more flexibility.
Thank you.
We had a lot more flexibility because we were kind of expected to be like, if we call you, we need you to come in, right? There's no, hey, I did my 40 hours this week, right? So there was a lot more flexibility. But I remember, there was very much a, if it's a Wednesday afternoon and you want to go to your kid's ball game, and you don't have anything you got to get done by 5 o'clock, go to your kid's ball game, because there's gonna be a point sometime in the near future where I'm gonna have to call you in on a Saturday, or it's gonna be, we used to call it Operation Cancel Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Where something's gonna happen on December 20th.
Yeah.
Usually in Washington D.C. with politics, it's gonna get everybody all in a tizzy. And we're all going to get geared up because we think we're going to have to work through the holidays, and then somehow miraculously on December 23rd it all gets resolved, right? Yeah. But I felt like in the military we had a lot more flexibility with those things, just because everyone knew that we could be asked to do anything at any time, including jumping on a plane and going somewhere for 6 months, a year, 18 months, however long it would be. So, and that was a little surprising to me when I came out of the military to see how rigid corporate life really was.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And I think that it really does. I mean, I moved here because of the company culture at Zappos. Like, it's amazing how much a company culture can create. One of the most important parts of every business is the people. I'm doing this.
One might argue the most important part.
It is, and I've been working on this project for a little over a year now, where we help coach and consult restaurants, independent restaurants, from all over the world. We've got people in Kuwait City, we've got people in Australia, we've got some people in Egypt, and of course all over the country. And what's been really fascinating is as I shifted into that world, like, I always have to find what is my brand voice in that world. And it comes from a lifetime experience, right? I was a drill instructor for at-risk youth. Then I got into DJing weddings, which in 14 years of doing weddings, I did 750 across the United States.
Episode 3 of the Leaders Mindset podcast, if you want to learn more.
I scaled a lot of those operations across the Midwest. I consulted in that industry, but I could speak to that, right? Now, as I'm working with these restaurants, I had to find my magic voice. And this is what I believe, right? There's 3 lines that are critical for every independent restaurant. First, it's a given. And most people think this is the only thing that's important. It's a line of people out the door that can't wait to experience your food and your atmosphere. That's easy. Like, that's what most people think it's all about.
Yep.
But you also need a second line, and that's a line of people that cannot wait to work for you. Because I tell you what, if you have people that are, we're coming from this age where it's like, oh, this is my vision. I am the leader, and then now you do what I tell you. Mm-hmm. If you can get past that ego, and if you can get people to light the torch for you, like that really want to be there and want a place where they can grow and succeed, like that's the most important line, because then they'll do it without you.
Yeah, that's the biggest, one of the biggest challenges for emerging leaders to make is that vision is important, right? One of the things we really have is when people move from being an individual contributor to being a leader, we need them to have that vision. We need to, that's sometimes a hard transition. But then we've got folks who have like this vision, but they're gripped so tightly onto their vision that they for lack of a better term, micromanage everybody around them. It's got to be my way, the highway. It's got to be perfect. And that balance you want is getting people who believe in the vision, who are going to take the initiative to do things that are great for the vision. And then you as a leader can say, okay, that's great. That was great for the vision. I never would have thought of that myself. Or, okay, I think that's diluting our vision a little bit or taking us in a different direction. Let's talk about this, rework it a little bit, and we'll figure out how to do what you want to do, but keep it true to the vision.
Well, and Josh,
you talk for a bit. I'm gonna throw an ice pack on that.
And Josh Levitt actually spoke about this earlier. He's done a very good job at making this. This isn't the Josh Levitt meetup, right? It's Tech Alley. It's based on the community, and some people don't even know who Josh is. So it's important to see that this is part of the reason why I moved here was what Tony Hsieh was creating in the culture, not just at Zappos, but in the downtown community. Unfortunately, when he died, a lot of that energy and momentum died with him. But a good leader, and this is on that second point, right? Like a good leader doesn't have followers. They have leaders that they
have other leaders who are enrolled in the vision, right?
Yeah. So when you really see that start to take off in the right direction, that's great. So it's that line of people out the door that can't wait to work for you. And then the last line, this is just for restaurants, right? The third line is a line of catering, like that you've very set intentionally, because that creates a line out the back door that if you do it right, it could pay all your bills. And that's the voice that I found in the restaurant industry. But any industry that I go to, it's always going to be some version of that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a line of customers, but if you don't have a line of people waiting out the door that want to work for you, that's the critical piece. Because if you're open to it, those people can come with great innovation, great ideas that you may never have even thought of. And they'll take your operation to a whole nother level.
Great connections, and it's not even a line of people who want to work for you. It's a line of people who want to support you, right? It could be people who are just willing to, like, they want to go tell the world about what you're doing, and that's valuable in a whole different way than having someone on your payroll.
So who else is on your miracle dream list to be on the show?
Oh my God. This is something I have not thought about in a long time. This is actually a really good homework assignment for me to do over the holiday week, because we'll see how today goes. But I feel like I've done a good job of kind of closing out the year. And now I can throttle back a little bit just for the holiday week, but focus on how am I getting all my stuff lined up so when January 1st hits, everything's moving forward. So who is on that list? We talked about Jim Murren. We talked about Dana White. We talked about Alex Hormozy. He'd be great. He and Layla would be great. God, I've not thought about this in so long. It's hard because so much of what I have wanted to do is branch out from the typical who's got a leadership book, who's got, who's a CEO, who's a, so like I want to get some of that Vegas style excitement. I'm trying to think of who is local in Vegas that you viewers may or may not know, who would be fantastic to be on the show.
The guys that run like Circa and
the Stevens.
Yeah,
Derek Stevens. Cool. I'd love to have Derek Stevens. That would be a great one.
Jonathan Jossel too. He's down at Plaza.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, anybody who's working in an executive role at any of these properties in town, I want you on my show. If you're watching or you're seeing a clip of this, I want to talk to you. If you're working in one of the resort properties, because I want to highlight that you got to have a little glitz when you're doing things in Vegas. And that's not right for every industry, but every industry has something like that. Yeah. Like in Vegas, we got to have the glitz. We got to have the neon. We got to have, that's, if you want to rise above the noise here, if you want to get attention for what you're doing, you got to have a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But in a different city, it may be something else. Right. So, I would love, who'd be great. And I don't know anybody by name. Folks who are like chief of staff for like a big politician, a U.S. senator, U.S. representatives. Those would be great. How are you running that politician's office, that representative's office, that senator's office for them, so that they can focus on being a senator? And then how is that different from what you had to do for them for the campaign? Because a lot of times that political chief of staff is someone who was either running the campaign or in a very policy-driven position by the campaign, right? Yeah. So I think those would be fantastic.
Angelica Villarta?
I don't.
She'd be a good person to talk to. I'll intro you.
Yeah.
Because she does that for Susie Lee. So
okay, yeah, that'd be like that would be amazing to get someone who is the chief of staff for a U.S. representative or a senator, whether it's one of our Nevada ones or whether it's from somewhere else. I'm into it, right?
Absolutely.
I think that'd be fascinating to talk about, because that's fascinating because you've got the media persona of the politician involved, and politics is you got to go out and say certain things in public, but then you got to work really hard behind the scenes to make like nuts and bolts things happen. Yeah. I think talking to somebody about the balance of that, or how do we live up to our ideals, the things we say in public, how do we live up to that while understanding there's a need for compromise? And I think that'd be fascinating.
Yeah. So I had some fun ones come up, and it was stuff that I had thought about before, and it just kind of reminded me. And some of I would say the number one, well, Alex and Layla, yes. For a couple reasons.
And that's on, I don't mean to be cliche, because there's a lot of podcasters that they're on their dream wish list for interviews. But
for me, like my big questions there are, yes, about the operation, but two, like, why did they choose Vegas? Why did they choose Vegas to relocate here? Right. So definitely excited for that one.
That's definitely a great Pursue Vegas conversation, right? Is why Vegas?
Well, because I want people to see behind the curtain, right? Because yes, there's going to be a lot of people that move here. There's going to be a lot of people that visit here. But when you move a business, especially an operation like what they've got going, like there's a lot of thought that goes into that.
They could have gone anywhere.
There's a lot
here.
Exactly. Another one that came up, and this is like a very personal one to me. I want to interview Pasquale Rotella. He was the founder of EDC. And I had actually went to EDC way back in 2000 before it ever even got to LA.
Yeah.
And then later I did come back here in 2015, 2016 for it. But also from an operational standpoint, like that's the largest music festival on the Western Hemisphere.
And it's massive. If you're not familiar with EDC, it's, I think like on Saturday and Sunday. It's
like 300,000.
It's not 300,000 people total. It's 300,000 people a night.
Yeah.
At the Speedway here in Las Vegas.
Yeah. So that's a massive one. But also same thing. I want to talk about his vision, why he chose Vegas, and what that's like too. So those are just a couple.
Cool. Well, why don't we take a break from this? I'll talk to Kurt for a little bit. You can finish your sweet potato fries and
5 stars as well.
5 stars. Taverna Costera, downtown Las Vegas, corner of Charleston and Main. Come join us at